everything came down to just one song. One moment on the radio, and then gone. 1982 was a year of change. MTV was new, synths were everywhere, and suddenly, the charts were filled with names we barely knew, but songs we'd never forget. Today on Americast, we're looking back at some one-hit wonders from 1982, tracks that came out of nowhere, made their mark, and disappeared. And if you love rediscovering the songs time nearly forgot, hit subscribe. We've got plenty more on the way. Mickey, Toni, Basil. Could a cheerleader chant really take over the airwaves? In 1982, Toni Basil's Mickey did just that. Oh, Mickey, you're so fine, you blow my mind. Chances are, you still hear it in your head. Toni wasn't new to the scene. She was in her late 30s and had spent years behind the spotlight as a choreographer. But this song? It changed everything. A cheerleader anthem so catchy, even people who didn't care for pop music found themselves singing along. She never had another big hit, but Mickey stuck because it was everywhere. And it still brings a smile. She Blinded Me with Science. Thomas Dolby. This one hit like nothing else on the radio in 1982. Robotic Beats. A guy yelling science in a British accent. Thomas Dolby wasn't your typical pop star. He looked more like the guy fixing your computer than someone you'd see on stage. But with this track, he created something completely weird and totally unforgettable. Maybe you remember the music video. Lab coats, crazy hair, blinking machines. It was pure early MTV. The song didn't sound like anything before it, and honestly, not much has sounded like it since. I Eat Cannibals. Toto Coelo is an all-girl group that dropped a song that made no sense. And somehow, that was the charm. I Eat Cannibals. They chanted it over tribal beats, dressed in outfits that looked like they came from a costume party, and just went for it. Critics didn't know what to make of it. But if you were out dancing that year, you probably didn't care. It hit big in the UK and made just enough noise in the States to stick. Pac-Man Fever, Buckner and Garcia. If you were around in 1982, you didn't just play Pac-Man, you lived it. I got a pocket full of quarters and I'm headed to the arcade. And this song? It captured the craze perfectly. Pac-Man Fever took real arcade sounds and turned them into a pop anthem. Pizza parlors, mall arcades, even the car radio. That waka waka sound was part of daily life. Buckner and Garcia weren't pop stars. They were jingle guys from Georgia who struck gold by tapping into something we were all hooked on. The song hit the top 10, then faded, but the memory stuck. Valley Girl, Frank and Moon Zappa. It started as a joke, but it turned into one of the most unexpected hits of 1982. Frank Zappa's daughter, Moon Unit, was a teenager when she stepped up to the mic and started riffing on Valley slang. Gag Me with a Spoon wasn't supposed to go mainstream, but suddenly, it was everywhere. Frank backed her with a jagged groove, never expecting it to chart. But it did, and it gave him his only top 40 US hit. Moon found herself in the spotlight, caught somewhere between punchline and pop star. Most people missed the joke. The song was mocking mall culture, not celebrating it, but that didn't stop it from catching on. Key Largo, Bertie Higgins. Back in 82, Key Largo drifted across the airwaves like a breeze through the window.
Around each other, trying so hard to steal.
Maybe you heard it while driving home from work, or playing it late at night with the lights low. It wasn't loud, just soft, sincere, and a little sad. Bertie Higgins had been a sailor and lounge singer, but this song, with its nod to Bogart and Bacall, turned him into a storyteller. One line in and you felt the whole picture. Love, distance, and looking back at something that slipped away. It reached number 8 on the charts. Forget-Me-Nots, Patrice Rushen. You might not remember all the lyrics, but you remember that bass line. Smooth, cool, and impossible to ignore. Forget-Me-Nots slid onto the airwaves with a sound all its own. Patrice Rushen didn't sound like anyone else. She blended funk, jazz, and R&B in a way that didn't fit the usual mold. And maybe that's why it still holds up. Years later, Will Smith sampled it in Men in Black, and a whole new generation felt that same pulse. It wasn't just a love song, it was a vibe. And when it came on, you moved. Words, Missing Persons. You might not remember all their songs, but you probably remember that voice.
You heal me. Do you care?
Words hit the radio with icy synths and a singer who sounded like no one else. What are words for when no one listens anymore? If you heard it once, it stuck. There was something restless in it, something a little ahead of its time. The band looked wild, sure, neon hair, strange outfits, futuristic everything. But underneath it, there was real talent. Musicians who came out of Frank Zappa's world and knew exactly what they were doing. I've Never Been to Me, Charlene line. It was first released in '77 and barely made a ripple. But 5 years later, it came back, and suddenly it hit different.
I've no doubt you dream about the things you never do.
The story of a woman who'd seen the world, chased the thrill, and still felt something missing. That quiet spoken monologue in the middle, you either rolled your eyes or you sat there in silence, letting it hit you. Charlene wasn't a pop star in the usual sense. Even she seemed surprised when the song took off. But in 1982, it reached number 3, and for a lot of people, especially women reflecting on their own path, it felt personal. The Lion Sleeps Tonight, tight fit. Some songs feel like they've always been around, and in a way, this one had. The Lion Sleeps Tonight came back with a new sound. Tight Fit gave it a glossy synth pop coat and sent it straight to the top of the UK charts. Maybe you remember hearing those falsettos on the radio or catching the jungle-themed video on TV. It was catchy, bright, and oddly familiar. A lot of folks didn't even know it was a remake. For some, this was the first version they ever heard, and even if it was short-lived, it stuck. 7 Tears, Goombay Dance Band. You might not remember the name Goombay Dance Band, but if you heard this song in 1982, there's a good chance you remember the feeling.
7 tears are flowing to the river. 7 tears are running.
7 Tears drifted in like something from a dream. Slow, soft, and just a little bit sad. With steel drums and a gentle melody, it sounded like a postcard from somewhere far away. Maybe a place you once went, or maybe just imagined. It never really took off in the US, but overseas it was a massive hit. A Little Piece. Nicole, in 1982, while the world felt tense and divided, a teenage girl stepped on stage with a guitar.
You're the bluebird I'm meant to begin. From Soviet fire in ice in the bin.
And sang about peace. Nicole's A Little Piece was a soft melody, a clear voice, and a message that hit home for people who were tired of headlines and politics. It reached number 1 across Europe, including the UK, rare for a German-language song. Nicole never became an international star after that, but this one quiet song made an impression. For many, it was a gentle reminder that even during uncertain times, a little hope could still break through. They came and went, some with a cheer, some with a whisper. But the one-hit wonders of 1982 never really disappeared. The artists moved on, but the songs stayed with us. And the moment one comes on, you're right back there. To that time, that place, that feeling. That's the magic of a one-hit wonder. Got a favorite we didn't mention? Drop it in the comments. And if you love rediscovering songs time almost forgot, you're in the right place. This is Americast, where sometimes one hit is all it takes.